wars end. It is the silent blade that keeps the peace. But when wars rage, a peacekeeper's work is never done. Quick, lethal. They can win a fight before their enemy even knows they are there. Dancers of death with dual blades for dancing partners. Selected from the desperate, the humbled, or the devoted. Sworn to secrecy by unbreakable oaths. What they know can destroy legends or create them.
The first assassin of the Knights. You know, when I think about an assassin for a faction like the Knights, what would they look like? I had a lot of trouble picturing that kind of warrior, and I feel like Peacekeeper meets all expectations I could come up with. When I think of the Peacekeeper and her personality, I see a child with baggage. So imagine a young girl who's only known war and hardship. She sees the evil and darkness of the world and seeks to either make a difference in this dark world of war, or to simply find some means of survival. They become devoted to their creed and their oaths of silence and secrecy. They're spies and assassins in equal measure. And when I see the Peacekeeper, I see someone who's not in this war for glory or for personal gain, hence why they wear the hood to hide their face. They don't want people to know who they are. They do this because their duty demands it. They do it because they seek release from the darkness. They do it because, in a weird way, they see themselves as angels of death. People there to put down the evil of the world, either because they are good and righteous individuals, or because they're just desperate enough to need to do it. Well, that was a lot to put into the Peacekeeper. This is the default look for the Peacekeeper. I wanted to show you this first for a specific reason. Take a look at that helm, why don't you? So let's go ahead and talk about the Peacekeeper's look. As far as weapons and armor go, the armor of the Peacekeeper it's reasonable. I actually like it a lot. Now, my personal variation of the helm looks very different from this, but I wanted to show you this version first, because the helm for a long time was what For Honor gave her. You couldn't see her face, you could only see the helmet she was wearing, which is actually good protection. The hood just keeps the rest of her head hidden. You've got shoulder protection there with a shoulder pauldron on one side, and you've got what looks like some leather and cloth armor with maybe some chainmail underneath. Got some gloves for arm and hand protection. All good, all good. Some greaves down there for foot protection. Now I'll show you my personal variation. Lately in one of the updates, they gave her a look where you could actually see her face, which, I'll be honest, I kind of prefer it. Yeah, looks great. I really, really like it. But we'll worry about that later. Let's take a look at her weapons. Her weapons are a short sword and dagger combination. The short sword and dagger combination actually works really well because it's a historical means of dueling that was actually practical. The only problem is it wouldn't really be used in warfare, it'd be used in a one-on-one duel. But that's okay, that kind of fits the idea of an assassin. That kind of fits the idea of what you would want in a character with light armor and practical weapons. They're going to hunt down a single person off by his lonesome and finish him, you know, like an assassin would. It's a good dual-wielding combo. She uses them very, very well. Historically speaking, the sword would be used for offensive purposes, and the dagger would be used for defensive, for parrying and deflecting. She uses them a little bit differently, and if you want to know what I think of that, and you want to know how it looks, well, let's go ahead and take a look at her fighting style. Peacekeeper's an assassin, and like all assassins, her guard is temporary no matter where you look. Note how it quickly vanishes after a quick 1 or 2 seconds. This means that guarding isn't the best thing to do with Peacekeeper, but she has a great dodge ability. The dodge ability allows her to launch a heavy while in dodge. This is usually unique to an assassin or vanguard character. Now, notice how when I dodge, I can get in that heavy attack. If I land it, I can add a bleed. Now what does a bleed do? Notice how my brother's health now has a little red dot. Gradually his health will deplete as that red dot sits there. It depletes for the amount that the red dot is there. This is called bleed damage, as many assassins are capable of inflicting it, and the Peacekeeper thrives on it. In fact, most players annoy other players by using the Peacekeeper's bleeding capabilities. Now, the Peacekeeper has a 2-combo heavy attack and a 2-combo light attack. She can mix these up, but whenever you land a heavy attack, either dodged or otherwise, you can cancel the combo. Don't block. With a bleed. You can also soft feint out of a heavy to do an overhead light bleed. And this one will kill him, so I can just calmly wait for him to die. Yeah. Now, there are other ways to use Peacekeeper. Like I said, dodging is a great mechanic, and soft feinting into your bleed attacks is also useful. But let's say you really want to just keep on adding that bleed. Well, Peacekeeper has a magical guard break ability. She can apply up to 3 bleed strikes and 1 guard break. If you can continue doing this throughout the match, you can bleed your opponent dry. Notice how after just 2 times, I've already knocked my brother's health down halfway. This is a great way to pressure your opponent. Also, remember the soft feint? Always never be afraid to go into the soft feint. It really helps keep your opponent off balance, and if they're predictors like my brother is, he won't expect it. Heavy opponents are great counters to the Peacekeeper, but there is one thing that the Peacekeeper can do. All assassins are capable of this ability. It's called a deflect. A deflect is a move that allows you, if you dodge into an opponent's attack at the right moment, you will not only evade all damage, but have a free attack on them. With the Peacekeeper, it's a free, unblockable, light bleed attack. My brother will demonstrate. This can be moved. Once this is done, you can also transition straight into a heavy attack. So if I want to finish off my brother, pretty simple. And we'll talk more about the executions next. But that is essentially the way you play Peacekeeper. So if I can offer any last advice about Peacekeeper, never rely on blocking. If you get pushed into a corner, know that it's going to be really hard to get out. Keep yourself loose and with an open field. Try to isolate your opponent. Don't fight large groups of them because it becomes that much tougher. And dodge. Remember that dodging is your friend, and mix in those heavies with light. When you feel pressured, throw in that top soft feint light, and don't be afraid to just abandon the execution ordeal to go for your bleeds. And if you do this right, eventually your opponents will be screeching like crazy monkeys and calling you a spammer. That's how the Peacekeeper play. Alright, so now we've taken a look at her fighting style, it's time to grade some executions. I'm basing my judgment, like last time, on a scale of 10, and I award points if the execution fits her personality, if it's actually lethal, and it's realistic. Also, I don't want it to be too meme-worthy. Meme executions are okay, but they can't go too far. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look. Oh gosh, I'm going to mispronounce this one. Arantia Lumina Falunt. Okay. Watch it again. Yeah, let me see. How do I grade this one? Because I love it. I love this one. But I gotta give it a 6 out of 10. This execution is so badass. It's cool. It's deadly. I think it's creatively done, and it's one of the most sweet assassin executions out there. So why would I give it such a low score? Well, I have to be consistent, and from a practical standpoint, this execution is flawed. Firstly, she deliberately misses the first throw to set up the next move, and then she kicks the victim in the face to knock him into position so that she can guillotine him, see? He has to fall into that position, and that's a lot of assumptions. For this to work, the victim must fall precisely in place for her to properly cut off the head, or it's wasted effort. Sorry, I love this execution, it's great, but 6 out of 10. Stepped stool. Okay, yeah, I know that I've heard other people talk crap about this execution, but I love it. This is a 9 out of 10. I think this is great. The enemy getting a knife thrown at them is good enough, but then landing on them to get it out with that smooth roll-off to finish, it's awesome to watch. I think my only problem is that throwing the dagger isn't really practical when she can simply lunge at him. Look at the distance here. when the speed that she ran at him, she could easily just lunge and stab it into him. She doesn't really need to throw it, I don't think, but still, pretty awesome. Oh, and she's saying Tumorituru, which I believe means, I'll kill you. I could be wrong. Someone correct me. I'll double check it later. Nightingale Guillotine. Shoot, that's a hard one. You know what? I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I really like this one. Holding the character in place with the dagger is great enough. Giving him 2 knees, 1 to the gut, 1 to the head to stun him. Very nice. And then a spinning decapitation. It fits. Really fits her character. It's smooth. I don't really have anything wrong to say about it. Now, a couple of people are probably saying, now hold on, when you did the Warden, you said she needs to return to guard position. Well, like you saw in the video for her fighting style, assassins don't have a fixed guard position necessarily. So it's a little hard to say go back into that. And besides, like I said, when you want to play Peacekeeper, the best thing you want to do is get one-on-one with an opponent. So I'll forgive it for her. Oh, there we go. Ole! Ooh, it's a good one. That's a good one. How do I call it? 8 out of 10. Okay, 8 out of 10. Gosh, I feel kind of bad grading this one. I love this execution. I mean, the fluidity and the speed is amazing. It fits her character, and it just shows how badass she can be. Okay, but I had to knock down 2 points. It's a little too choreographed. The initial dagger strike is fine, and then the dodge behind to stab the back with her sword is also fine, but I feel like at that point there's no need to go further. The dude's dead. Let him fall. But then she goes through the process of removing all the blades in a very spinny, showy fashion, and the guy just spins around to let her. He's dead, but he still spins and stays standing to let her remove all those blades in a admittedly badass way. She finally ends with a pose as he rolls off, and it is cool. It's very cool, but it's obviously choreographed. Sorry, I just got to take away a few points. But gosh, don't get me wrong, I love this execution. I want this clear. Just because I don't give it a perfect score doesn't mean I don't love it. Instant regret. Oh, it's awful. Oh, okay. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I admit it, this one's really funny. It's a reference to an Ace Ventura movie, I think. And the reference alone is pretty funny. I love the character's reaction as he gets stabbed. Look at this. It's hard to watch. It's so painful to look at. I think it loses points because of Peacekeeper's action while he's suffering. Look at this. What's she doing? Just inspecting her work. Also, I don't get why the dude doesn't just pull out the swords and waste her with them. She just gave up her swords. There are just a few things that don't add up here. But you know what? Awesome reference. Funny response. I'll allow it this time. Not bad. Why you gotta do this? Deadly Embrace. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Alright, so I gotta give this one a 10 out of 10. I just gotta. It's a kind of execution I mentally picture for an assassin, so seeing it with Peacekeeper fits. The classic throat slash from behind is just what we need. And she also shouts, "Peri!" right there, which means die in Latin. I will translate anything said in the execution as it happens. The cut is paced well enough to feel real, but not so slow that it gets irritating, so I think it's perfect. It's really, really cool. And it's quick. I can appreciate that. Trepanation. Ooh. Okay, so I'll give that a 9 out of 10. I like the execution where the enemy fights back. I like any execution where an enemy tries to fight against the death. This one is especially good as he manages to catch the Peacekeeper as she's trying to finish him off. But what I think is very clever is her allowing the enemy to hold her sword while she switches hands like that. It shows cleverness and quick thinking, which are all things I could admire in an assassin. Although I don't know why the enemy holds the sword in his hand while she's doing that. He could just drop the thing. I don't know. Whatever. Not a big deal. 9 out of 10. Sunday Roast. Ooh. Let's see that again. 9 out of 10. That one is more creative in the setup, I think. She's pulling him off balance, but rather than bend him back, she uses the momentum of him going forward to catch him and lock his arm, holding him in bow formation and exposing his neck. Yeah, I like that. This is smooth and realistic. Yeah, very good. It only loses the 1 point because I think that decapitation was a little too easy. It's not Peacekeeper's fault, though. And for honor executions, decapitations are often unrealistically easy. And a short sword of that size combined with the weight of her swing, I don't see a clean decapitation with just that. I don't know. A little too simple, but whatever. Ooh, over under. Very nice. 10 out of 10 for that one. Yeah, let's see it again. Nice. This is a great one. She pulls the opponent forward and then rolls over his back, finishing off with a well-placed dagger throat slash to finish. This is actually a good callback to the older version of the game. See, in the past, heroes had specific animation for how they killed minions, and rolling over a minion's back was one of the animations Peacekeeper had to finish them. But in this case, I think it really works. It fits her style of stealth meeting elegance, and it's just fun and fast. Very cool. 10 out of 10. Good form. It's nice. Shoot, but how do I grade that? You know what? 10 out of 10 again. I'll give that a 10 out of 10. It's very, very cool. The initial stab to the gut is good, and then the stab to the head is great. But then she adds insult to injury with that twist. Look at this. She kind of cocks her head back. Reminds me a bit of Boa Hancock from One Piece. I'm looking down on you so much, I'm looking up. It's smooth, and it shows how it shows an almost superiority and arrogance that might not fit her character well, but it does show a sense of disdain to the undeserving, which does fit her character. A little hard to call, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt just because of the amount of wows I get when I do this one. Led to slaughter. Okay, that is a very fast execution. I give it a 7 out of 10. It's basic and precise, but the ease of the decapitation is irksome to me. Plus, I don't get the sense she put a lot of force in that swing. Just look at it. I mean, how hard did she swing that? It looks almost weak sauce. Maybe if she slashed the throat instead, this would have been a bit better. The sacrifice. Ooh. Nice. But I'm going to have to give that 6 out of 10. It's quick and efficient, sure, and she makes the assassin type character. It matches the assassin type character that she is. I like the way she sets him up too, like lays him over her knee to open up his belly to the stab. But I don't like that she stabs the belly. I would have liked it to be in the chest or something, because a stab to the belly may not kill right away. Sure, it'll kill, but maybe just not right away. Plus, look, I think he bleeds a little too early. Watch this. Yeah, see, blood spurted before she stabbed him. I think that was a little too soon. Disarmor. We get our mutilating execution, where you cut off an arm. Ferrano loves giving arm-removing executions for some reason. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I like it because there's a brief pause as the arm comes off, showing the difficulty in removing the limb, rather than just sink, it's off. Then the swift stab to the throat is a great finishing move. Great kill. Definitely lethal. Just not my type. I'm not a big fan of all these arm removals. Arrow to the head. Little hard to hear there, but what you just said was in Latin. At least you tried. Very, very cool. I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10 also. This is a lot different than Larry's Banner before, where it was a waste of a feat. This one is actually a good use of a feat. It's cool. It's a great execution style kill. It uses her crossbow effectively. I can't think of anything wrong with it. Even the starting off slash is cool. Yeah, perfect. See it again? Great. I love it. The Wingbreaker. Oh, I don't remember this one. Oh, shoot. How did I miss this one? That's awesome. Oh, my gosh. Let me see it again. Nice. Oh, my gosh. That's really cool. All right. So, 8 8 out of 10 for me. 8 out of 10. It's so cool. It loses a few points to me just because that leg break movement is a bit unnecessary, but the rest of it is really awesome. I like that the blades are put into an angle, forcing the shoulders back. Look at that. Like, she puts it in just a way that the shoulders have to be pulled back so he can't resist. That's really cool. And even though I think it's unnecessary, the leg break is cool. Look, yeah, that's great. You don't see that very often. Okay, 8 out of 10. Nice. Skilled cut. Okay, I do remember this one. Ah, it's so cool. It's so cool. Too bad I gave it a 5 out of 10. For one reason. For one reason. Okay. At the very beginning of the execution, watch what she does to her sword. Okay, did you see that? She flipped her sword around so that she holds it by the blade. Now, why did she do that? Watch. Now, you could argue that she used her hilt there to catch his wrist, but why couldn't she use the blade side to do that? Look. It still would work, especially when she jabs him in the leg. Once she jabs him in the leg, she's got control of him. I don't see a need for that. All it's doing is it's cutting your own hand. And then when she cuts off the head like this, yeah, just, no. Now, catching the head at the end is cool, so I want to like this one. I really want to like it. It's cool. But that's so unpractical, the way she holds her sword like that. Why would you flip it? There's no point. You could do it fine the other way. I don't know. It's fine. Nothing really wrong with it except for that. Just, it had to lose a few points. All right, folks. So that is all of the executions for Peacekeeper. So, my final thoughts on Peacekeeper. To me, she's the Dark Blade of the Knights, in both action and origin. Her moveset is built around harassment and bleeding her opponent, and this makes her a very annoying character to fight against. To play her effectively requires patience and timing rather than being aggressive. You want to get the most out of her, it's best to rely on reaction to opponents' mistakes and to bait them. She's definitely not as basic as Warden is to play, but I think that's why I'm better with Peacekeeper than Warden, because I love her complex playstyle. Either way, give her a try and see if you can get a feel for that dark little mistress on the battlefield. That does it for Peacekeeper, folks. Tune in next time when we discuss the heavy conscripted criminal of the Knights, the Conqueror. See you then, guys.